Ms. Chia Yong Yong.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, Budget 2018 is about building for the next decade without limiting our planning for the future. It is therefore apt that Budget 2018 is also an inclusive budget, and perhaps more than any other, I will remember this budget as one in which the Finance Minister named VWOs as one of the stakeholders alongside workers, businesses, governments, and citizens to build a better Singapore for everyone. I thank the Minister of Finance for his recognition of the role of VWOs in nation building, not just as recipients of charity and public funds. Here, I declare my interest as the President of SPD and Board Member of SG Enable. So how do I see the role of VWOs in nation building? It lies in social cohesion. I liken this to a family where one parent looks after the welfare of the family and keeps the house in order while the other parent brings home the dough. VWOs, by virtue of their being on the ground, are best placed to increase and strengthen intra-community networks and bonding. We must therefore strategically develop this role, collaborate with grassroots organizations. We can and we should build the kampong spirit, the neighborhood care network. It is part of civil defense. How tragic it would be if a person were to perish in a natural disaster because the neighbors did not know he had existed. I don't need to say any more. Is this the kind of neighborhood that we live in? It has been a few years since we popularized the term kampong spirit. Let us step up to the plate and just do it. Mr. Deputy Speaker, at this juncture, I wish to refer to the speech made by my honorable colleague, Professor Randolph Tan, in yesterday's debate, wherein he drew the attention of the House to the amount and increases in the budget on social development spending. From the perspective of the social service sector, such social development spending is overdue. It is welcome. In the days of nation building and consolidation, social development spending was way below that of other ministries. But this has changed. The government has recognized the importance of building the vulnerable and weak segments within our society, and hence the increased spending. We are still playing catching up. Money is still not enough. But having said that, I agree with the honorable member that we need to be prudent in our spending. The money has to come from somewhere, and hence I again advocate for the need for the social service sector to be sustainable, to generate their own revenue without compromising the mission to serve the disadvantaged and the vulnerable, to reduce their reliance on public funding. So I still request for resources, but not to be invested into a black hole. I request for resources to invest in capability building to achieve sustainability in the long term. It remains my dream that one day charities will not depend on charity. Mr. Speaker, nation building is both a privilege and a responsibility of all stakeholders. The same set of challenges facing us as the Minister for Finance says can be turned into opportunities for us. But it seems to me that the 4 strategies laid out in the budget will not work unless if we are only implementing the schemes, if we are only encouraging take-up by individuals and organizations. We need to radically change our mindsets and worldviews. We need to change the way we do things. In the face of disruption, we must be prepared to disrupt the way we do things, disrupt our own comfort zones. Let me refer to the 3 key enablers referred to by the Minister as laying the foundation for all ITMs. Pervasive innovation, deep capabilities, and strong partnerships. These are terminology not alien to us, having been frequently spoken of and discoursed. Unfortunately, familiarity sometimes has a way of immunizing us against the true import of the terms. When we talk about innovation, we frequently think in terms of acquisition and effective, efficient use of technology, but innovation is more than that. I use my mobile phone without a clue as to what happens inside, or in cyberspace, and where applicable even in the virtual world. My purchase of a mobile phone and any proficiency, which I do not claim I have, in using the phone and the downloaded apps does not make me innovative. Embracing change, such as upgrading to the latest version, does not make me innovative. Now, if I tweak my mobile phone and change it into a loud hailer, that could be innovation, but it might also explode in my face. So what is innovation? It is when I embark on a quest for the better, for the best. I might fail. It is imperative that we develop this psyche. If we cannot, whether as businesses or as individuals, we will have neither the courage nor the drive to innovate. We will be nothing more than buyers and users of technology, machines, and skills. We will be nothing more than persons attending training courses. The government schemes will be tapped upon for expenditure, but we will not achieve our aim of fostering pervasive innovation throughout our economy. So this mindset change must happen at every level, in every age group, and every segment of our community. But we can also catalyze such change upstream through education. MOE has done good work. MOE has continued to review your curriculum and your pedagogy to prepare future-ready leaders. Hence, I have a few suggestions which I hope MOE will consider. Despite living in Industrial 4.0, our schools continue to certify competencies relevant to models of earlier industrial economies. While basic subjects remain important, I submit we should review our curriculum and make structural changes to our education landscape. Before I go further, Mr. Deputy Speaker, allow me to talk about DeepMind's AlphaGo. AlphaGo is not just a computer game of Go. It is a program that defeated the reigning three-time European champion, Mr. Fan Hui, in October 2015 in a 5-0 win. And just last year, it defeated the legendary Grandmaster, Mr. Lee Sedol, winner of 18 world titles and widely considered to be the greatest player of the decade. It was a 4-1 victory. AlphaGo earns a 9-dan professional ranking. That's the highest certification ever for a Go player. A computer program getting a ranking of a human being. Now, there is AlphaGo Zero. Unlike AlphaGo, AlphaGo Zero did not learn to play Go using human amateur and professional games. It learned to play Go simply by playing games against itself, starting from completely random play. It is now arguably the strongest player of all time. Just a game of Go? Really? It gives us a glimpse into what world we're living in, what world our children will live in. Think of our children facing artificial intelligence in their lives, in their careers, in their challenges. We communicate with human beings in human languages. Our children will need to communicate with machines in their languages. We need doctors when our bodily functions are compromised. We need machine physicians to intervene and fix machines when functions have been compromised. We apply human psychology in interactions with each other. Our children will need to understand the psychology of machines. Our children facing AI. Language, physiology, psychology are used words hitherto applied to human beings. Could it be that in the world to come, there may be little differentiation? Human intelligence versus artificial intelligence, human psychology versus the psychology of machines. How can we, our young people, live, thrive, harness AI in such a world? This is no longer science fiction. Schools, ITEs, IHLs should therefore ensure that every student knows some machine basics with differentiated routes for deeper learning. In addition, courses in general may be restructured to allow differentiated exits into other courses, just as we currently allow differentiated entries into schools, institutions of learning, and courses. This could potentially broaden the skill sets and perspectives of our students. with Industrial 4.0, we need more than academic competencies. We need to nurture from young the appetite for risk, the comfort level for problems, the courage to fall and to stand again. In line with curriculum change, therefore, we must effect environmental change. The environment in which children cram or are hothoused for better grades should be changed to a push frontier environment in which children challenge each other by creating problems and by devising solutions to those problems. An environment in which children are challenged with different risk permutations and are allowed to grapple with defective or inadequate responses. Simulations of real-life scenarios in which they analyze, brainstorm, role-play, make judgment calls. Instead of clearly defined experiments within each subject, students could be challenged to use a combination of their knowledge and skills across subjects to achieve certain outcomes. A push frontier environment will encourage creative thinking, the ability to conceptualize problems, create problems, solve problems, and live with problems. It will build confidence and the courage to be different, the courage to create. It will shape a different worldview, a different view of success and failure. To be sustainable, this environment must be housed in the school. I note the already heavy commitment of students. May I suggest that schools convert to full-day schools, in which all the homework is done and completed within school hours. No outside school homework. With time and resources allocated for push frontier practicals, housing push frontier environment in school and converting schools to full-day sessions has another advantage. It enables the leveling of the playing field between students. The government has done much to try to level the playing field, but the fact remains that all things being equal, children from more advantaged backgrounds will have access to more enrichment and tuition classes, and when assessed on the current academic models, outperform their peers. As long as this situation persists, we run the risk of not harnessing the potential of all our young people. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, sir, every school is a good school, but not every home is equal. The current system has been abused such that inequity continues to be perpetuated and deepened. A full-day school can be a good tool to eliminate a part of that inequity. We have children study together, grow together, spend time together, greater opportunity to level up, greater opportunity to bond. When they go home, parents should be encouraged to reduce reliance on external contractors in providing additional teaching and hot housing, and use the time for family bonding. All this requires a mindset change. We require a change in the way we define success and failure. The Chinese have a saying, 行行出状元, meaning there are top scholars from every trade. I previously used this to encourage those who did not perform academically. I don't anymore. To my mind, it connotes that one is only valued if one is at the top of one's trade. I disagree. Everyone is important, not just those at the top. I'm not encouraging sloppy or irresponsible performance, but I am saying that everyone is to be valued, regardless of whether you're at the top or at the bottom. Each time we get into the car, we put our lives in the hands of the last mechanic who serviced it. We don't need, well, most of us don't need a mechanic who is top of his trade. We just need one who is competent and responsible. We should also value failure as an alternative outcome. Penicillin may not have been discovered, but for a messed up experience on something else. Of course, Dr. Fleming wasn't the only one to be credited. The rest of the team were hardly to be known as 状元. We should also re-examine scholarship criteria used in government, commercial, and IHL scholarships. What qualities do we want in our future leaders? Academic and extracurricular performance, responsibility, courage, risk-taking, ability, the ability to fall and stand again. How will we view, are we prepared to grant a scholarship to a student with a B scoring in place of one with straight A's if the first student has got his Bs because he had to overcome an illness, or because he had to work to supplement family income, or because he had to care for a sickly parent or a sibling, are we prepared to have scholarships for students on the basis of courage and risk-taking? Unless we review our scholarship criteria, I submit we may not have. We will be hard put to find leaders that we will need in the age to come. So let me now move on to developing the Singaporean core. I welcome the measures in Budget 2018 and in particular await more information regarding the Capability Transfer Program. I would like to know how we will measure the transfer of skills and knowledge to local workers. And in addition to the Capability Transfer Program, perhaps whether the government also considers that employment and S-Pass holders may be required to train those under their reporting lines. In relation to the forging of strong partnerships, can I request that we take a long, hard look at how we now attract foreign companies to Singapore? Despite our success in the 5 decades, it could be timely for us to review our policies so that foreign companies which set up businesses in Singapore to take advantage of the various financial privileges and incentives will leave an enduring legacy, an enduring positive impact when they cease to operate in Singapore. I urge the government to consider implementing a systematic, targeted, evaluated transfer of system to transfer knowledge and skills to Singaporean businesses and workers. KPIs of officers should therefore not be how many partnerships have been forged, but how the terms of such partnerships have been negotiated to achieve win-win for both parties, as well as the impact of the implementation of such terms. We could consider a progressive model of ensuring that the right to the grant of privileges or to continue to enjoy such privileges is reciprocated by an increase in the transfer of knowledge and skills to employees and local enterprises. We could require vigilance in systematic and structured training and transfer of such knowledge and skills to local employees and enterprises. Measurables could include the increase in local hires for higher positions, increase in number of local employees trained and promoted from year zero and year on year. Next, Mr. Speaker, sir, a few short words about migrant workers. Migrant workers could range from work permit holders to senior executives. Singapore has benefited from open doors. We have never been xenophobic, and despite vociferous noises from certain quarters, we must never be. Our forefathers came from their homelands. Singapore's shores welcomed them. Some of our friends returned to their homelands, but our forefathers stayed on. We are the children of migrant workers. Today, our children and loved ones work and live overseas as migrant workers. We hope for them, our children and loved ones, to be cared for and respected in those communities. So we hope for them to do well. So let us then be hospitable to migrant workers in our midst and hope that they too will do well. And to our migrant worker friends, you are our guests. Please respect our culture, our rules, and even our accent. Whether you eat or drink, cross the road or cycle, please respect our culture, please respect our rules. There are many among us who have carried themselves honorably, and they are your shining examples. They are good friends, and we are confident that with mutual respect, together we can achieve a win-win for all. In conclusion,
Ms. Chia, you also have 1 more minute.
Thank you, sir. In conclusion, in order for Budget 2018 to succeed, we must begin to think differently. A quest, a thirst for something bigger and better, a mind unafraid to dream, a heart unafraid to fail, and around us, hearts big enough to accept someone who has failed, minds broad enough to see alternatives rather than failures. No one can change us, only ourselves. The government may pave the way for us, but how we take that road and where we find our destination is up to us. Let us take this journey together as Singaporeans. We will support one another. We must. We will celebrate and sorrow together. We will fall, but we will lift each other up. Our forefathers succeeded against all odds. So will we. We will succeed in honor of their memory. We will succeed for ourselves, and we will succeed for our children. Because with the Singapore spirit, we will triumph. Mr. Speaker, sir, I support the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. I was about to ask you to round up your speech.